Hey, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Extra Feature. And it's have a fabulous guest, Erin Dooley. It'll probably be a very short film, so we're gonna have to ask why, because there's a lot of questions that come up during it. Adopting Faith is the name of the film, and if you need to find it, she tells me, Google it or go to her website, which you'll find it at the end of the show. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So let's start the easiest part we can discuss. Why this idea? Is this for a series of things you're doing? It feels like it seems like it's very base for people that are interested in doing this themselves. Is this a
Yeah,
how-to?
um, sort of. I wrote it while I was figuring out if how I was going to help foster children. So it's about foster care adoption, and I felt an urge to help foster kids, and I was trying to figure out, okay, well, what does that look like for me? Single, don't have any biological children, so I kind of tiptoed into it. First, I helped at a group home once a month, and then I mentored a young lady who had aged out of the system and try to help her reach some goals. And then ultimately I felt, okay, those aren't really having me work as closely with these foster kids and helping them as much as I want. So then ultimately I did decide to get licensed, and I fostered a teenager for a little bit over a year. And so it's definitely a subject matter that is important to me. And I realize that a lot of people, it's one of those things that you don't really think about unless somebody brings it up in conversation. And so I'm trying to just educate people about ways that they can. I mean, it focuses on adoption, but that's not, of course, the only way people can help. Only about a quarter of the kids are going to be adoptable. And so it is using it as an impact film to just educate people that there's lots of ways they can help foster kids. But yes, it was born from my personal experience and me trying to figure out how I can help these kids.
So you had a kid for a year. Now you're saying that's
Mhm.
just a mentor. You had a mentorship with one kid, you were saying, and now
Mhm.
this kid in the mentorship, the kid doesn't live with you then, I'm
Correct.
understanding?
Yeah, that was part of one of her goals was to get housing because she was unfortunately living in a motel. And so and with that program, you can't do things for them. The whole goal is to help them because they've just become independent. And it's like, good luck
Right.
being an adult. Nobody's probably taught you. And so that part of her goal was trying to get onto a housing list. And then I did take a teenage girl into my home and I took care of her for 14 months.
Now, how did that go to foster your film? Is that what spurred the film, or you thought the film should come out after that? Or how did you get to the point you are at now from that process?
Yeah, it definitely, of course, informed me having the lived experience of doing it. And I was open to being like, okay, I don't know how long this is going to last. Because of course, with foster care, the hope is that whatever the reason is that the children were taken from their biological family, that those parents will rectify that situation and they'll be placed back, be able to be reunified. And so you don't know if it's going to be 6 months, if it's going to be 2 years, whatever it was. So having gone through that experience, I thought, well, I have this or this script that I wrote during the years that I was, again, thinking about things. And I thought, well, okay, if I'm not going to be fostering, so I don't foster now, it is a lot to do as a single person. Plenty of people do it. But yeah, it was a lot for me. So I was like, well, I can use this and still so that I feel still feel like I'm helping the foster kids by then just using my gifts as a filmmaker and a writer and trying to spread awareness. And so it was me, yeah, taking something from my lived experience and then just coming at it in a different way to try to help the kids by educating others.
So I'm going to ask, this may be a weird question. Where does this film go from here? Like, I mean, obviously it'll live on the internet. It could live on
Mhm.
numerous sites. Do you shop it to churches? Do you shop it to agencies? Where does it ultimately your goal this film's going to go?
Yeah, my dream is called this Film and Foster Fairs. So it's going to be premiering in the Los Angeles area at the flagship Film and Foster Fair, where I've invited all the area organizations that help foster kids. So it'll be a little fair so that people that attend, we're going to watch the film. I'm going to talk about my experiences. Another foster mom is going to talk about her experience. And and then the people can walk around to all the different organizations and like, oh, I can volunteer for
Mhm.
just like 1 hour a month. Oh, I can do this, that. And so what I would like to do is to really galvanize local communities to use this as a tool to hold a film and foster fair in their community. And I have a whole kit. I have a PDF that walks them step by step. It has the emails they could just copy and paste. It has all the graphics that they just have to edit with their date and location. And so that's what I'm hoping is that it's going to be used in that way. And a national organization that works with um, that tries to place the adoptable teenagers into homes. I'm talking with them. They're watching the movie and seeing how they might be able to utilize it. So also trying to partner with some bigger organizations to see how they can use it. So I'd like it to be more than just entertainment and try to have it as a tool for to really be making an impact.
I'm really surprised you didn't send me a documentary about your experiences or other people's experience. Was that ever crossed your mind to go expand it to go that way?
I didn't, I have done a one documentary and I enjoyed it, but I am more of a narrative writer. And
Fair
so
enough.
this, yeah, was just kind of how my brain went. And a lot of it is, I mean, it has, I mean, in it, you've watched it, when she talks about how she was out at a bookstore and just out of nowhere there was a book on fostering. Like that literally happened to me. A complete display that was nothing to do with fostering, and I looked down and there's a book on fostering, and I was like, okay, I get it, God. Like I will do this. So a number of pieces of my real life, but yes, it's not a documentary, but um,
Okay, I'm going to discuss something you just said. You said, okay, so you must have been thinking about it before you went to this bookstore.
yeah,
And
I had,
then
yeah. Yeah.
and then you stop at a book and then according to you, just saying this is your come to your moment, saying, okay, I got it, I'm in.
Because it was that was there was other events where things completely out of place
Hmm.
for the situation would happen, and it would be like, hello, fostering Aaron. And I'm like, okay,
Yes,
maybe. And so like I got invited on the Paramount lot. There's a movie with Mark Wahlberg that came out
yes.
like 8 years
Great
ago.
movie. Really fun movie.
Wonderful movie. And I've seen it multiple times. I got invited to the pre-screening. I still to this day don't know how I got on that list because as I'm walking onto the lot, there's other people when we're walking, and somebody asks, "Oh, what agent are you with?" And I'm thinking, because I'm a writer, I'm like, "Oh, I'm unrepresented at the time." And she's like, "What are you talking about? Like, what foster organization, what agent foster agency are you with?" I'm like, I'm not with the foster agency. And she's like, that's all, everybody that's at this screening work in the foster care industry. How did you get? I'm like, I don't know how I got on this list, but I apparently had to see this movie. And so things
Interesting.
like that, where it's like very strange moments that kept putting foster care in front of me. And so, yeah, so then I decided, and so I had written it before I ever fostered. Then I did, and I went through it again. And then through fostering, I made friends at like a support group with the woman who did adopt her daughter out of foster care. So I had her reread it, or read it, and I said, "Can you just be like truly honest? Like, I don't want it to be like syrupy sweet. I I want it to be real, but I also don't want it to be so." Real with the children's behavior that it might scare people. Because, like, yes, children that have dealt with trauma are going to have big reactions. I mean, any child is going to have behaviors that parents can struggle with. And so I didn't want to scare people away, but I wanted to thread that needle. And she felt that um, it was true to just giving a little glimpse of what some behaviors might look like.
Okay, the house location, how'd you find it?
The main actress.
Okay,
It's yeah.
that's
So
her house?
yeah, yeah.
That's fair. I have to ask these
Yeah.
questions.
No, yeah, yeah. It made it easy. Yeah.
Okay, you have a stack of children's books. How did you decide which ones to use?
Interesting. My friend the main one about adoption, my friend who I just mentioned that adopted her daughter, that is the book that she got to explain adoption to her daughter. And so I use that one as that one. And then And then the books that I have her read, I just grew up sort of like Nancy Drew was kind of in my era, and so that was the first author I thought of, and
Are
got
these your Nancy Drew books, or did you actually take them out of the library?
I got them out of the library. Yep.
Okay. Now, you have children at a certain age. I would say they're teenagers. I mean, they may be
Mhm.
just starting their teens, one of them,
Yeah, yeah,
and one of
yeah.
them may be a little bit further on. Did you ever look at younger children to suit those needs?
I like just you mean to write it about that or like personally
Yeah,
when I
or
was
either like
oh
just
yeah.
to to write about it. Because I mean, I
Yeah,
think it's an interesting topic. If you're going with older children, it might be easier for you to work with as a director, as
right.
opposed to younger children, you would have to direct a bit more.
Right, right. Um, it was, I suppose when I wrote it, it was more because my mind kept going towards older kids. Like I, myself, the gal that I fostered, she's 16 when she came to me. And so, and I had worked with teenagers through my church in like the youth group. And so I've always gravitated towards older kids um, personally to like help. And so, and I know that statistically, that population of children are a little bit harder to place. And so I always was also trying to remind people like, hey, there are kids here and they need help. And we as a society will benefit if they get homes instead of aging out. So, but yes, it of course does work for a director to work with older children. So,
Do you find you have a strong support group for your films because of what you preach?
um, I think yeah, people were very excited about it when I tell people, particularly about this film, because it's like, well, who doesn't want to help foster kids? Like everybody knows that people should be helping. So this one has piqued a lot of interest, I would say. And yeah, it's hard for, every filmmaker to cut through the noise.
Now you know where I'm going. Now you got it.
Yeah, but the people that do find my things really like it. I have an audio podcast, like an old time radio show that's
Oh,
very
cool.
niche. It's called Confessions of a Catholic Single, so very, very niche. But so the people that, are drawn to it really like it, but it's finding the bigger audience for me always because I do kind of live in a certain lane. I like to say that I write things about faith, family, and forgiveness, the good F words. So
Yeah.
it's
Okay. Since you brought up faith and we brought up the church, let's go a tiny bit. That does take place in this film. There is
Mhm,
that I find with a lot of faith-based films, which is fine. They have that time they have to make a decision
mhm,
and they're looking for guidance.
yeah.
Now, did you have that moment yourself, or is this something you just wrote into the film?
For me, yeah, the feeling drawn to it was very much like wrapped into my faith, feeling like that God was um, asking me to do this. And even the day that the young lady was put into my home was May 1st, which in the Catholic Church we have feast days, and it is the feast of Saint Joseph, who is the foster father of Jesus. And so I was like, okay, that felt very like anointed and like a moment. And so, but even with that, somebody read it and was like, it seems like, oh, just because, once you have God, like everything's going to be fine. And I'm like, I don't think that's what it reads as. And she was the only one that
No,
said that. So
no.
I was like, okay, well, everyone is entitled to their opinion, but if I'm not getting that note from everybody, but I did mention it to like the DP and everybody. I was like, we have to make sure that that's not that we're trying to say. It's just that for her, it's her reminder, like, okay,
Yes.
I can do this. I have this strength. And for her, her strength comes from her relationship with God and like
Oh,
this
I
reminder. So
100% agree
yeah.
with you. I think I'm totally on board with what you're saying. I don't want people to think that I'm saying it's a faith-based film. It is not a faith-based film. It's totally on Foster. The
Hmm.
woman just has to be Christian of some kind and just
Hmm.
has her own way. And that's fine. I
Yeah,
want people to
yeah,
know that. We're not
yeah,
judging anything here. We're
yeah,
just asking questions. Okay.
yeah,
So if somebody
yeah,
comes after me,
yeah.
that's not what I'm saying. I'm just asking because you brought it up. Your
Yeah.
music is very different, I would say. It's
Mm.
not overbearing ever, but it's not there. It's
Yeah.
kind of just a different sound. So where did you find that sound?
Actually, a friend of mine, he is a musician. He's been a musician for like decades, and he's just sort of pivoting and starting to do movies. And so, it happenstance, I was going to be using the composer from my documentary. And then because of the LA fires that we had in January, we had to postpone filming. So then, of course, that meant that post-production was going to be pushed back. And then that made the original composer unavailable. And so when I was home for Christmas, I live in Los Angeles, originally from Chicago. I heard from my friend that he was just getting, starting into composing. And I was like, oh, perfect. Like it was perfect that I learned that. And so, yeah, so we talked about the sound that we were looking for and gave him some ideas, like some samples of some movies and some scenes, and then he just kind of went off to the races. And I do try, as much as the director, of course, like is in charge of everything, but I really, this one was maybe the most where I was like, I'm just gonna hire the best people and just really, really trust them to do the best work that they are going to do. And like my producer, she's out of sight, like just so amazing. And the cinematographer was really great and like just I think it's beautiful looking. And then with the composer, I was like, okay, it's like slightly different of what I was kind of in my head, but I also wasn't 100% sure. I had an idea, but I wasn't married to it. I wasn't locked in. And so I was like, oh, but I do like this. And so I was allowing myself to sort of be happily surprised by the sound that he came up with. And it's nice because usually especially on my shorts, I am just doing everything. I'm wearing all of the hats. And I think when I've done that, then things get sacrificed. And I didn't want to do that for this film. I was like, this film is too important to me. I'm going to pony up more money so that I can really dedicate people in all of these roles and pay them some money so that they can be focused on that. So, yeah. So, but
Okay.
that's
You're
a
saying
long
this,
answer about my sound. Yeah.
uh, I'm going to go back to one thing and I'm going to come back to what you said because I have to think of my question. There's a math queen crown in the film at one point. Did you
Yeah.
make this? And where did
I
the
did
idea
make
come
it, but
from?
I didn't, that wasn't something from my real life, but I did tangibly make it. Yes.
And where did the
Yes.
idea come from?
Um, I just, one thing that I did do when I was fostering was slightly different, but I really focused on being overly positive in a way because these children have so much negative things that they have either internalized from what people have said or people that have, blatantly said some really terrible things and done terrible things to them. And so like for my foster daughter, I had a dry erase board and every morning I would write like it says you're great. And then I would just write, a compliment every day for her. And so and she was sweet. She would write a compliment back sometimes. I'm like, oh, but
That's nice.
but
I think
for
that's
this,
wonderful.
I just was like, okay, so what is something, yeah, just another way to really be showing up for somebody and to remind this kid because the main character, Perrine, she does some things really, really well. And then some things she really screws up. And I wanted to have that where even in that scene, the opening of the scene, yes, she's being, showering this girl with this attention, to a very specific thing. You struggle in math and you did great, and we're going to celebrate that. And but then at the end of the scene, she doesn't handle the son well, and she doesn't know what to do, and that sends her over the edge. And so, and that's parenting in general, not just with fostering, where you knock some things out of the park, and then sometimes you have egg on your face.
Okay, I'm going to go back to my question. I thought I would
Yeah,
phrase it correctly. You say the production values of this are a little bit higher than your other films because it
yeah,
means so much to you.
yeah.
Now, is this because you've had much more experience in this world than you have in your other films? Or just something this you want positivity for this predicament people are in, I guess is the best word I can think. How would you relate to that?
I think when I think part of it is just, on every project you learn and you grow. And so I
Hmm.
didn't know, technically some things on my first film. And then also I was a lot younger when I made my first film. And so, I had a little bit of the ego of a young person, right? And so it was that getting in my own way. Whereas this, I just wanted to take everything that I had learned and really amp it all up. For but in part of it because it was so special, it's like you just want to do right by something to be like, okay, like if this is because it is a topic that a lot of people could get behind. So I'm like, all right, if this is going to be something that's going to have the most eyeballs on it, and then it's going to, hopefully bring some attention then to the rest of, my catalog of things, I want this to look great and be great. So it's but I think it was also like a timing thing of like, okay, just you take everything that you've learned coming up to this point and you apply it to your next project, hopefully, and you're always growing.
Okay, I'm going to move on to fun questions. I think I've covered your short fairly
Okay.
well. Unless I
Yeah.
missed something, please tell me I missed it,
Yeah.
and we can talk about it. But I think I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, your favorite film?
Oh, this this is silly, but if we're gonna go with the movie that I will watch anytime it's on and makes me happy every time, it's Clue. I mean, it's
Hold on.
from
What is wrong with picking Clue?
I don't know. It feels like an
Clue is a great, fun, stupid film. I really got to give it to you. Now, do you watch all the endings? Because
Oh,
there's
of course. Every time I gotta watch all
okay.
three endings every time. I mean, I could sit and quote and my one of my good friends, she's actually the girlfriend of the composer. She's, living in Chicago, and sometimes we would just be like, "Hey, I'm watching Clue," and so we'll put it on in our respective homes
I
just so that
love
we can
it.
like be experiencing the same thing because we
I
both love
love it. That's an awesome story. That's great.
it. So yeah.
Sorry, I'm just laughing. That's good. Your favorite actor?
Um, hmm. Wow, I have so many. I mean, my my response wants to be for right now Christian Bale because he has such a heart for foster kids as well. I actually invited him to the event and he can't come, but his representation actually got back to me like right away.
Wow.
Because he's building foster homes for siblings to stay together,
Oh,
and they
awesome.
should be done very soon.
I had
And
no
so I was
idea.
like, "Hey, our missions are aligned. I'd love to help let people know about what you're doing, and you can come to this." And so perhaps his like business partner in that might come next weekend. I'm not sure. They haven't. They said maybe. So I will just go with Christian Bale because I like his heart for foster
Fair
kids.
enough. One summer movie you're looking forward to.
Oh, do I know what summer movies are coming out? Oh wow. I have watched this movie too many times to have my head above water to know what's coming out. I don't even know what's coming out.
That's
I
fair enough.
see.
That's an answer.
Yeah,
I'll accept
sorry.
that. Before I let you go, we
Yeah.
got to promote your stuff
Yes.
and your
Yeah.
podcast.
Yes. Yeah. So if you go to my website's kind of long, but if you just Google Dash Entertainment Aaron Dooley, it'll come up. And it has so my movie will be premiering at these events, and then so you can host one if you like, and it'll be online. That'll be linked on my website, and also the podcast Confessions of a Catholic Single. That's on Spotify, any place you listen to podcasts. Those are small episodes. They're like 15 to 20-minute episodes, and there's two seasons. Oh, and all my other shorts, and I have a documentary on forgiveness. I've got lots of things that are available all on my website. So it's Dash Entertainment, Aaron Dooley. Just Google that and you'll find me.
Thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Yep. Thank you. You too.